Alright, so today I wanted us to see how we can create a complete Android application from start to finish, and one of the simplest examples to do this, it's just normally the calculator app, and also some other basic examples that you can try to create on your own. Some things like a to-do list app, where you have some of the things that you might need to do for the day, and after a thing is done, you just check it out, and it's registered as an activity that is done. So you can create something like that, make it more advanced, connect it to the cloud such that you don't lose any data, or you can also use a local database to do that if you don't want to implement the cloud database. So today I just want us to build a simple calculator app, and I think we'll just have the basic operations, and if this time we can try and build something else, or just show how everything can be wired together in Android, such as the button clicks. I know we have covered some of these things, but what I want us to just do today is to build something simple but from start to finish, because you are also required to build your own app. Okay, so you can build a simple app that you want, or that you can get, just a complex app if you want to connect it to Firebase, have different pages, have users be able to log in, and everything in between. So today I just want us to do a basic implementation of a new project, and we've already discussed what all these things are, and the type of view in our activity that we want is the empty views activity, because we want to program using Java. And my application, we said what this meant, and it means the app name, such that when you install the app, this is the name that will be displayed. So in our case, calculator. And simple calculator, I can just say simple calculator. And what we need to have is the language is Java, and the minimum SDK, which is the minimum device of Android version that I want to support. Let's say I want to support, let me just leave it as the default and finish up my project, and then it will create my project for me. And this is just for the starter code. There is nothing much here. You shouldn't touch it unless you know what you're doing. Yeah, so let it finish up, and as you can see, the Gradle build is running, and that is what will be used to encompass everything in your app and build everything. So just putting things together using Gradle, and you can find some of the Gradle properties here. You can see there are two different Gradle files, and this one, the build, you can include different plugins and the Gradle properties. And in your app level, there's also a build Gradle. Here is where you can specify some of the things, like the SDK to compile, the minimum SDK, and this was our Android version. So I think Android 7 is SDK 24, the target SDK. So this is supposed to be a higher number, mostly these recent devices. And You don't have to worry much about Gradle. Just know that it is the Android build tool. Okay, you don't need to know much. And some things that you need to know are things like what is the use of these Android manifest. And here the Android manifest, here is where you will be setting up your app, different things. If it's things to do with permissions, you normally set permissions here in the Android manifest. If you wanted to read the storage, you normally see that after you install an app like WhatsApp for the first time and you're trying to share a photo to your friend, for the first time it will ask you, you give permission to your storage, you give access to your storage, and this is where you can write those permission. So you can see uses permission, storage, it has its name. So here is how you can declare a permission with the uses permission tag if you are asked something like that. If you want your app to also use the internet, you can give permission to make to surf the internet, but I think that is by default on. Mostly the permissions that you normally need are things like the camera, things like the storage, things like what else, the contacts actually. Yeah, so some people are normally surprised where some Android calculator app was asking for your contacts, and or the calendar is also asking for your contacts, and you tend to wonder, why would you ask for my contacts and you're just a calendar or a calculator? So maybe it's someone just creating a malicious app that can be able to access your contacts. Actually, a use case that was there were these loan apps. I think there's a time these loan apps that it was required for them to read your contacts, and if you defaulted a loan or you refused to pay a loan, they would call someone on your contact list, and then they would tell that someone to tell you to pay your loan. You can just think of how embarrassing that is. So you need to be careful when you're giving these apps permissions, especially if you don't know where the app comes from, or if you don't know what's actually inside the app, or if it just feels malicious. Something like WhatsApp, you know it's actually trusted, and you know that they can't use your data like that, but we don't know. But at least they don't have a track record. So just know who you normally give permission to your app, because I've ever seen a use case where someone you are to give an app you are to give permission to use the dialer, and what that guy had created in the app is actually in Android you can do malicious things if you wanted. So he had created something like an intent to call the dialer app on your phone, and then do star 1440 star, and then puts an amount like 100 star, and then 07 42 123 123. So he had written something like this in the code, and what this does is that if you have airtime, it will actually donate 100 shillings to his number. So if you had some, actually I think he had used just something like 50. So if you had more than 50 in your credit or airtime, he could have taken 50. 50 would have been sent to his phone number. So you can just see how evil that is, and it was just within a click of a button after you have given the app permission to to do what, to dial or something, or to call, or to use the contact app. If you just give it permission to do that and then you click a single button, it was executing this intent that was writing *140* automatically and calling this, and it would have sent 50 to his phone number. Yeah, so just, I think we can actually demonstrate these when we create our app, but the main agenda for today was to just create a simple calculator app from start to finish. And yeah, so let us see. Let me just delete this, or let me just comment it out. And after our app has been created, we say that the main activity here is where you normally write your Java classes, and the activity main is where you normally define your layouts. And what I'll do, I won't even clear this hello world thing. I'll just have it as the title of our application. And what will I name the title of our app? So I can go to XML and change that text to from hello world to simple calculator. And we say that you don't have to do this. You can use the values and then the strings XML to be defining your own texts. And what Android Studio can do for you is actually, if you have something like this, you can just click on it, and when you click on this bulb, it can tell you to extract the string resource for that text. And when you just click, you give it a resource name, and I can say something like app title. So that will be our app title, and it will automatically create that for us. And you can see it's saying at string app title. And when you go to our strings, you can see that it has created this app title and given our value simple calculator. Last time we saw how we could do this manually, how you can add your different codes here. But the good thing about Android Studio is that anywhere you have text, you can just be writing it on your XML and telling Android Studio to extract it for you automatically, like the way it has done for this. And you can see that the app name is simple calculator without any spacing, and the app title is simple calculator. So this is the title that you are seeing up here, and I will increase the font, and I think I'll also make it capital. So I go back to the strings and say it's simple calculator, and do that. And when I go back, it should have changed to capital. So let it load, and you can see that it's good. And if I wanted to increase the font size, I'll say font size, text size, not font, text size, and then wait for Android Studio, and I'll use 50 SP, no, something like 40 SP. SP is for text, DP is for different other measurements, such as the margins. When you want to define measurements, we normally use DP. When you are dealing with texts, you normally use SP. And another thing I want to do is, you can see it's actually quite huge, and it's okay. The next thing that I want to do is to make it bold. So let me see if I can write bold now. I have to say it's the style. Okay, text style, second option, and you can see I can have it as bold, and my text has become bold. And now this will be the home page of our calculator. And what do we want for our calculator? So one of the things we want is somewhere where the user can input different numbers. Okay, so we won't have it where you can input an expression, so we'll just have two input fields, because when you come to do with expressions, like having somewhere you can input something like 1 plus 3 brackets, something like this is much complex to actually do this at our level, because you'll have to know how to extract these, how to know about the order preference in board mass, how to do some regex stuff. So it would be quite overwhelming, and it would also increase the amount of time for this lecture. And so what I want us to do is to just have two different input fields where the user can input a number here and the user can input another number here, and then perform different math operations based on this number and this number, and then display the result down there. So the first thing that we are going to use, and the reason why I'm able to drag and drop, is because I am using the layout called constraint layout, and it's actually the default in Android Studio. If you wanted to change the layout, you can change as you like. So, but you need to know that the other different, you need to study about the other different types of layouts, but it's not a must to use them in this case. You can use the constraint layout because it's the one that has been advocated quite much by Google, and you can also see it's even the default. The same way these days, Kotlin is the default language mostly that Google recommends because they want people to use more of Kotlin than Java. So it's the same case to our layout, and what we'll do is we need an input for where we can input a number. And when you click on text on the palette, this is what is called the palette. It contains the different widgets and views that you can add to your app. And when I click on text, you can see here we say that if you want to know something is an input, it has an underscore. It's written AB underscore AB underscore. But for the text view, it's just alone. Text view itself, it's alone, and all these others you'll tend to find that they are a way of getting input. An email, that is an email input. A password, it will give you a password. Keyboard, that will be numeric. This will give you a password keyboard that will have all the characters, but when you type, it will actually censor what you're typing. If you say plain text, this is just plain text. If you say number, this will just give you the keyboard where you can just input numbers. And yeah, so what I'll do is I need a number, so I'll just select number and then do that and constrain it. And I think I can, let me just resize this one at first. I can resize it and then have that one, and then I can also duplicate it, you can see, or you can copy and paste it. So you just say copy, then right click and say paste, and you can see now I have two of them. So here is where the user will input the first number, and here is where the user will input the second number. So I can constrain these two together and also constrain this one to the end and do that, and I can also constrain this other guy, so I can do that, and I want to pull this from the edge. I don't know why it's not, so I can delete that constraint. Okay, why is this thing not letting me pull it. So let me just undo and constrain just one by one. So undo, and now I can be able to pull it up. Is it still constrained? I can right click here. If I wanted to delete that constraint, I can delete it, and I have deleted it, and you can see now I can be able to move it freely. So let me just constrain it again to the left, and also at the top, there. Let's just have that on there, and now I can be able to place it anywhere. And also the same case for this one, I can constrain it at the top there, and with our edge of our screen. And then if I wanted to, I can constrain these two together, so that I can also say that that is constrained to that. So that is our that's our layout, and the no speakable text present. So let's see, let's clear, can I clear these? But there's no problem with that. So what we want to do to these texts is that this one, the first one, you should enter first number, and also edit text number, text number, and also you can see that they have this was the reason why it wasn't allowing me to do what, to constrain. It's because when I copied and pasted, it also copied and pasted the same ID, and you can see this is actually a huge problem. So what I can do, since which one is this, so I can delete this second one, but I can also change the ID and make it unique. Edit number, I can just say number 2. This is number 2, and yeah, it has, no, I wanted the other one to be number 2, because which is number 2, this one was the first one, and then let me see if I make this one edit number 2. Yeah, I think that's okay. So that's just but our layout. That was the problem. So please avoid making my mistake. So the reason why it's good to see such live coding sessions, it's you see the errors and everything that happens. So that error came because I copied and pasted, and it also copied the ID, and the ID has to be unique for everything. If this is called edit text number, there is nothing else that should be called edit text number. Okay, it should have a different name. Every ID, because that is the unique thing that will be identifying that view. And what I want us to do is now for this one, the first one, I want us to give a hint on what to input there. And what will the hint be? Input first number. Input first number, and you can see it's not wide enough. Input first number. So what you can do is you can increase the width of your edit text, or else you can decrease the font size. So in this case, I have decided to increase the width of our input, but I don't think that's a good idea. because they will just be too wide for nothing. It's not that they are doing so much. So what I'll do is that I'll just undo input first number, and I'll say input first number. But since I can see that it's not fitting perfectly, I can decrease the font size. So let me just click on it and say that the font size, text size, is something like what? Let's try out 20 sp and see how it is. 20 sp is even bigger, so let's try out 15 sp. Yeah, and you can see that 15 is a good one. And the same thing for the second one. So the text will be input second number. No, it's not supposed to be a text, it's supposed to be a hint. You can see when I have it as a text, you can see even the font is very much different. Okay, so this means that this text will always be input second number. But if you say that it's a hint, that text is just a placeholder. It's normally called a placeholder text. Text that just gives you a hint. You can't do anything with that text. When you just click on it, the text will disappear. And the same thing for the text size, and we say the text size is 15 sp. So that is our text size and input second number. So the second number 15, so we say it's then 14. I think it's because the letter second is actually longer than the letter first. So input second number, I think it's okay. And what we want to have is, we have different buttons here. A button for add, a button for subtract, a button for multiply, and a button for divide. So we can do our buttons, and to take, you just have your button. So the first button will be add, so you just do that, and we constrain it to this guy, and this will be the button to add. That will be an add button. The next button, I won't copy paste again, I wanted to do that, then I've recalled. The second button will be what we call subtract. Okay, the second button is subtract. So I think I can have them close together. Come here. Ooh. I think that's good. The second button is that, and that, and there. So that's the first button. The second button, add, subtract, multiply, then divide. So I have the multiply button here. Also, to do the constraint, you don't have to drag here and always drag like this. You can also use these attributes here. Okay, so let me just undo so that you can see. So when you use the attributes, it will you select your button, and as you can see, here is where you constrain them. If you click on the upper, it will look for the nearest or the best spot to constrain it at the top. It won't even move it. You can see it has constrained it automatically to the top button. If I click on the left side here, and the bottom down here, it will constrain it to the bottom. The right, it will constrain it to the right. So if I click on left, you can see it has constrained it perfectly on the left. So you don't have to keep dragging and trying to find the perfect spot. You can just drag your view, and if you see everything matching perfectly, you just release it and then use these attributes window. If you can't see this window, it's normally here the attributes on the right corner. It's called attributes, but I think it's open by default, so you can't miss it. If I want to constrain it on the left, I just click on the left, and you can see it has chosen this button, and when I click on the top, it will constrain it at the top. And after doing that, what we want to do is display the results. Okay, we will be displaying the results, and to display the results now, we shall need a TextView to display those results. So we come here and say we need a TextView, and this TextView will display our results. And I can constrain it on the left, but first of all, let me just increase it in size, because I want the font size of this text view to be large, so I can increase it in size like that, and also increase the, what do you call it, the text size too, and also make it bold and all. So that's the middle, and I need to give it different attributes. So you don't always have to go to the code. You can do everything here on the what do we call this, the attributes window. So the text here, if you wanted to change the text, you say results, and you can see that it has changed to results. And if you wanted to change the appearance, that is what you can do. If you wanted to see all attributes, click down here and expand on all attributes. Now this will give you everything you can do with this text. If you want to change the ID, if you want to change the input type, if you want to always like the font size, if you want to add an on-click, so what I want to do, this is the text, text size is here. So text size, I want it to be bigger, so I can scroll and see 24 sp. I can change this to something like 40 sp or 50 sp, and you can see that it's actually nice. And what I want, something else I want to do is align it, text alignment. Yeah, text alignment, I want it to be aligned center. So you can see it has centered itself. And the how I want these results to appear, it's something like whatever you input here for the first number, so input first number, what I want it to appear like, let's say you input the first number as something like 50, and then you input the second number as 70. So the result should be something like 50 plus. So if you click on button plus, it should say 50 plus 70 is equals to is it 120? Yeah, I think it's 120. 50 plus 70 is 120. So the result should be like that. So it should be 120 is equals to 120, and you can see that it's not fitting. It's not actually fitting. So I think we need to make it even larger. But another question comes: what if someone inputs a number that is very large, like they say something like 500, and it's a number like that, plus number like that. So you can see that it's not actually displayed. And now to maybe cater for that, we can look at how we can make text adapt in a text view. How to make a text adapt in a text view in Android Studio. So this is how you can use Google while you're there. Set the auto size, okay? Auto size. And you can see here is set the auto size type attribute to either none or uniform. So I think there's something like the text auto size. So if can I search auto size? Exactly. So auto size minimum. So the minimum text size, I can say that the minimum is something like what SP were we using? 50 SP. 50 SP. But I can say 0. Minimum to be 0 or 1 SP, because we want it to be automatic. And then the maximum auto, I think it's something like 50 SP or something, so that it doesn't text size. So how can we attributes to either none? Set the auto size text type. So I think you can also copy the code and right click and go to XML. And why is it giving me an error to this text view? This view is not constrained, or it's because I haven't constrained it. So what I need to do is I can constrain it, and I can use the attributes window to constrain it, and I can just do that. Constrain it to the left, to the right, to the top. I don't know what it will pick. It has picked the closest button, and let's try to give it an auto size for our text, and attribute blah 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 100 auto size. We can set it to let me just have it auto size text type is to uniform or something. Let's see whether it will exactly. You can see now it's actually auto sizing our text, and let's see whether our text is, we've said it's 120, yeah, is equals to 120. And if I was to add another number here, let's see whether it will auto size. As you can see, it's actually auto sizing. So these are some of the things that you need to think about. Something like auto sizing, I haven't used it, and you can see that I have known how to auto size it today here with you. So in software engineering, or just programming in general, or just learning things in general, it's just learning new things every day. So I want it to be outputting something like this. And now for this button, the first one we said it was add. So we right click, and then the text, we can also change the text here if we wanted to, and then say instead of text button to be called button, it will be called add. And then the next one is subtract. Then the other one, you can see add, subtract. This one is multiply and then divide. Multiply, then the last one is divide. Divide. Okay, so we have our 4 different buttons. what you can do to maybe make them match, you can try to decrease the font sizes or something. Maybe for subtract, you can have the font size or the text size to something that is lower. Text appearance, text size, you can have it as something that is lower. You say something like maybe 15 sp. I don't know whether that is larger or smaller. 10 sp. Yeah, you can see that it has actually done that. And for multiply too, you can say it's also 10 sp. Text size is 10 sp. And yeah, or you can also give them an auto size, and I think an auto size would have been best. Okay, so why is my button not going? So actually, let us see whether auto size will work our magic. But still, it's just wasting time. But you've known how we can use auto size since we have used it down here. So I think we are done with our layout. Simple calculator. That was the layout. If we wanted a background, okay, if we wanted maybe to have a background for it not to be boring, we can come here and search for Android app calculator background image. Then let's see whether you can get a good image, and it's just giving us Android background images. So we can just look for a cool background image that maybe we can have Android background portrait. So we can say background portrait images, and go to the images tab, and then we can just pick any image that we like. An image like this. Is it partly good? I hope it won't conflict with anything, so I can copy image. I can actually copy image. Let me see whether I can paste it here directly in the drawables. So we said the images are normally stored in the drawables folder, and paste, and you can see it's actually come image.png perfectly. And I've just gone to Google and right-clicked and copied. Now, if I want to use it as my background, I can go to my constraint layout. With my constraint layout, activity main, the code, and now here the layout level background, I can say image drawable. You can see this at drawables img. So that is our background. Let's see whether it has changed. And as you can see, it has actually changed. But something that we can note here is that now the text is conflicting with the brightness of this image. So we need to have our text color to be white. So for this, we change our color. So text color is white. And we also saw how we could define colors, the colors that we want. And also, you can see that is good now. Anything else that we need is even for our title, the color should be white too. So you can come here to the attributes and search for color and say text color here, and you can click on these what do we call it, on this pencil icon, and you can just say white, or you can just drag it there. You drag it to white and see that it has changed to white. Also the hint, you can see that the hint is also not good. Text color, highlight, text color, hint. So you can set them all to white. Input first number, you can see it's actually good. And also highlight color, white. So while I'm doing this, it's actually adding code that is changing our color to white. Highlight should be also white, and also color hint should be white too. So yeah, and this down here, this is just a placeholder text. Okay, this is not anything, it's just a text that we were writing to see how whether it adapts properly. And I think we can actually leave it like that, so that we can see it changing from whatever we input here and also whatever we input at the second one. And now what we need to do is just now wire everything together and run our app and see. But now the first thing that you need to do is to now write the code, to write our code. And now to connect everything to the main activity, we can now start declaring all our views. So we have quite a number. The first one is an input field and an input field. So we come back to the main.java class and say we have an edit text. So the input field is normally called edit text in Android. So you just say edit text, then first number, edit text, and then second number, edit text. So we have our edit text, the first number and the second number. So this is another way of declaring your variables. You don't have to always do edit text second number, edit text first number like this. You can separate them with a comma. So instead of doing this every time, you can do this, separate them with a comma. And then which are our other views? The other views are these different buttons. So button add, button subtract, button multiply, and divide. So we say we can have the add button. So these are buttons. So I write button and then say add button, subtract button, and then the other one is multiply button, and then divide button. And the last thing is the text view that now will set our result. So you say result text view, then these are text view. So you say result text view, just that. And after doing that, now we connect our layouts to our views, or our views to our layouts, now using the IDs. Here is where we were saying you connect them using find view by ID. So the first thing was, and you can do this in any order. If you want to start with the multiply button, you can just come multiply button is equals to find view by ID, and then r dot id dot, then go back to your layout, and you can split and multiply. Click on multiply button and then get its ID, and its ID is button 3. Copy it and then paste it. It's better if you do that so that you cannot confuse. The other one is the divide button is equals to find view by id, and then r.id dot which is the divide button. What is the ID of the divide button? Click on divide, see what's the code is, copy, it's button 4, then paste, because you can see that how could you have known button 3 is multiply, so you need to counter check that everything is okay. The other one is subtract button is equals to find view by id, and then r.id dot, let's see the subtract button. Subtract button is id number button 2, so you say button 2 and button 2. Then the other one is multiply, divide, subtract, or is the other one add. So I'm just showing you that you can just do this with any order. r.id dot add button, I think it's button 1, then surely it's not button 1, it's button. So you can see how you can make errors when you do things thinking that you are correct. And then the other one is edit text. So you say first number edit text, first number edit text is equals to find view by id, then r.id dot edit text. Edit text first number is what edit text, it hasn't highlighted my code, and it's edit text number 2. So you can see it's edit text number 2. Then second number edit text is equals to find view by id, then r.id dot second number is edit text number, edit text number. Then which is the other thing, result text view. This is where we'll result text view is equals to find view by id, and then r.id dot what is the result text view. Go to our activity and click on result and see that it's now named as TextView2. The ID is TextView2. Awesome. Now we have actually done the view binding and declared our views and found them in our Java file. So the next thing you need to ask yourself is that after I click the add button, I need to take whatever is in the first number, whatever is in the second number, and then add them together. But the first thing that I said is that when I click on the add button, and when you think of something like that, when you click any button, that is where you now introduce something you call the onClickListeners. So when you click the add button, now here is where you set the onClickListeners for our buttons. So you set the onClickListeners for our buttons. So these are the ones that will ensure if you click on a button, something will happen. Okay, if you click on the add button, this will happen. If you click on the what do we call it? If you click on the divide button, we shall divide. So you just say click the set the onClickListeners for our button. So you just say the first one, you can say add button, and also these you can do it in any order. Then you say dot set on click listener, and then you can write new v, and then we said be choosing this first one. And I also think that there is another way of doing this, but this is the way that is normally done mostly. Let me see if I can be able to write a lambda expression for this. Is it normally like this? R So let me just get it. I don't on click listener in Android using lambda set on click listener, then you say view. Yeah, you can do something like this. You after doing that, you do that, and then you say here it's view, and then you do that thing, and then that, and I think that is it. View, do something. I think it had so let me just add button dot set on, then view. Yeah, that one, this first one. Okay, this first one is what I'm talking about. And why are they not exactly? Yeah, you can also do something like this if you wanted to. Okay, so I think we can do this for the add button. It's simpler than doing the other way. The other way is this. So let's do maybe for the second button. So for the first button, we can say toast. We can toast that first button has been clicked. And for the second button, we can do the normal way, the other way. And the other way is just doing it the default way. And it's which button do we add? You can just do it the any button. So subtract button dot set on, then you say new view dot on click listener. You double click on that, and now this is the normal way of doing it, or the way that it was being done before. But if you want to simplify your work, you can just do like this. You just say view, and you do, this is what you call a lambda expression. It's quite some advanced topics. So this is how you can do it simply, or you can just do it like this. So I think we'll do it like this, because this is what the syllabus maybe expects you to know. But just know this is another way of doing it. So subtract button, and then multiply button, then dot set on click listener, and then new view on click listener, blah blah blah, multiply, and then divide, dot set on click listener, then new view dot on click listener, and it will generate that code for you. So now the next question comes in. After you click on the after you click on the add button, what do you want to do? You want to take whatever the user has input here for the first number and what they have input for the second number, and add that, and then display the result in the results text view. Okay, and now to do that, it's something simple. You need to declare your variables now for the first numbers and the second numbers. And in this case, let's say we'll need to deal with decimal point numbers. So we shall use a data type that can support decimal point numbers. And we said that the data types that support decimal point numbers, they are the floats and the ints. So float, so we can use a float. So you say float first number, and then float second number. So we'll have these two floats, and then we can have and we can have a float result. So these will display our results once our numbers have been either added, subtracted. So now to add, what we need to do is to get the number that is in the edit text here. If you click on add, to get the number that is the user's input in the edit text here, to get this number, you have to convert it into a float. And how do you get a number from an edit text, or how do you get the text from an edit text? And how you get a text, if you're asked how you can get text from an edit text, is saying first number edit text dot get text dot to string. This is how you normally get the text from our object to string is ignored. Okay, that's no problem. But this is how you normally get the text. You can just say or get text, or you can, let's see whether dot to string is fetching documentation get text. I want to see something we call the return type of this get text function. I want to see whether it actually returns a string. But this is how you can get the text from any edit text. And now this text that you get, okay, we can say that this is how you can get text from any edit text, using the get text method. And what you can do is now convert these text that you have got into a float. So you just say float, you just write capital F float dot pass float. As the name says, it will try to pass a float. Then get text dot to string. Yeah, you have to use the dot get text dot to string. So it will try to pass this float. Okay, it will try to pass the float from the edit text to a float. And what you can do is say that the first number now, what we had here, you say first number is equals to variable should be final, effectively final. So you can declare it here float first number. Let's see whether it will accept. Yeah, so you can say float first number is equals to float dot pass float blah blah blah. All this, it will pass the float from the edit text. So this just gets the text, the number that you have input from the edit text, and after that number has been input, it has to be converted into a float. And this is how you can convert it into a float. The reason why it was bringing an error is because it's saying that this variable has to be made final. So if you can see that it's just bringing so much complexities when we do it like that. So instead of just doing that and explaining things, we can just declare it inside here. So you say float first number is equals to that, and then float second number is equals to the same thing. So you can delete these ones here, you can comment them out. But let me see whether if I make them to be global. So global variables. So if I make the first number to be global, what I mean by making it global is that I write it outside the methods. I write it up here. So these are what we call the global variables, or the instance variables. So you say float first number. So let's see whether that will work. And yeah, it actually works. So to do this, we can we can just define them up here too. So we just say float first number, float second number, and then float result. So we can just have them up there. And the first number is that. I can duplicate this line because that is just the same thing that we are doing here. So to duplicate, you can just right click and then say it is the duplicate, copy paste, or you can just copy blah 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 blah. The shortcut to duplicate is Control D. Okay, Control D, you can just duplicate lines if you wanted to. Okay, so if you just clicked on Control D, it will duplicate, and now this one will be the second number, then pass second number, edit text, then you get the text, and then you get the toString. Now after you've gotten the first number and the second number, you just say result is equals to first number plus second number, just that. And after doing that, you now set perform addition. Here is where you perform addition, and after that you after adding, display the result. So after adding, you just display the result, and then you say result TextView dot set text. Okay, here we normally use set text, and we said our text should be something like first number, whatever you input for the first number. So whatever you input for the first number plus plus, and then you write that plus symbol, and then plus. So this means that it will write the first number as a variable, then it will just write a plus sign. So now this is just a plus sign. It's very different from this plus sign that is here. You can see that this plus sign is between double quotes, so it will just be displayed in between as a plus sign. So plus second number, then we say equals plus result. Okay, just that. Just that, and that is how we can display our we can get you get it from the edit text, and I can actually be running my app, my virtual device, because we are actually done, because this is what you now do for all of them. So when the subtract button is clicked, you do the exact same thing. You come here and choose the first number, you convert it into a float, and then you here is where it will change. Now for the result, it will be something like first number minus second number, and then the result text view, you will set the text first number. So it will be the exact same thing that you have done here. So if you've understood what you have done here, it's just the same thing that is done for everything, for the divide, for the addition, for the multiplication and division. So you just copy that code and you can paste it here. You can paste it here and do that. Okay, and do that. So let us see whether that will work. But so this is the subtract button, and result is equals to first number minus second number, multiply the same thing, you just paste. Result is equals to first number plus second number, and then you do the text view. But what is this? This is the multiply. And what do we use for multiply? The The symbol that we use for multiplication is that multiply icon. And then the divide, the same thing, just paste, but now here for the divide it will be first number divided by the second number. And that's about it for all those other calculations. But if you don't want to repeat this code, as you can see, we are actually repeating some code. What you can do is write a separate function out here, and that function will be used to perform the different calculations, because you can see we are repeating ourselves, and that is not recommended in programming. But in this case, since we're just building a simple app, we have that benefit. So this is just what you need to know. Okay, just the most important thing is how you get the first number and the second number, how you get those numbers. And you've said that how you normally get something from a text view is get text dot to string. And after now getting that, since we are dealing with a float, we have to convert it into a float. But the problem comes if maybe there's an error in converting. But the good thing is that we specified that our keyboard will only be dealing with numbers. So let us actually run this app. I think my device has come online. And this is what we were dealing with last time, connecting. You have successfully logged in Firebase. So let me just get rid of this app. And yeah, let me just run this. I hope I don't have any errors. Yeah, so I'll open my device. I'll open my device once it's finished building down here. And so now to just have a recap of what we've done for this session is that we started with our activity main. We started with our activity main. We designed our user interface. After designing our user interface, we also added a background. So you saw how we can actually add a background from any image in Google. We just copied our background image to the drawable and set that the background is from drawable, then the image name, which is actually the name of our image img. That is what we did. And then we constrained our views, and we saw that there's actually a simpler way of constraining your view exactly to where you drag it. Okay, so exactly to where you drag it. So you just click on the attributes, and when you click on any button or any view or anything that you drag into your scene, it will actually constrain it without any hassle. So you just use these buttons to constrain your views. And after adding our buttons, we saw how you can make a text adapt to a text view such that it has to fit in whatever display that it will be displayed at. And also after adding our background, we saw that our text was actually not matching with the color scheme, such that the black colors were not visible enough. So we had to change our text colors to white, and we saw that we could also use the attributes window to do that. And yeah, whatever you can do in the attributes window, you can also do that with code now. You can actually do that with code. And now for the code, we wrote our code. We went back to now the main.activity. We defined all our views. Okay, if they are the edit texts, these are the ones that are now used for the user to input. And the good thing about this is that in this edit text, we have specified that whatever the user has to input, it's actually a number. It has to be a number. And how do we limit that? It's by coming here and saying that the input type is a number, and it is because we dragged these input fields here as numbers. And when you look at the code, you'll see that the input type is a number. Okay, the input type is a number. That is because we dragged in a number edit text from our palette. So that is what we did, and also we did the same for the second number, and then we defined our button. So you have to define every button, each and every single button, you have to define it. And also the text view, this is where our results will be used, and these are now the variables that will store whatever is in the first number edit text. It will be stored in first number. Whatever is in the second number edit text, it will be stored in the second number. And whatever is the result, it will be as a result of either adding or subtracting or dividing or multiplying the first number with the second number. That will be our result. And now the on create, you need to do this every time, such that when you want to get your views, you have to bind them to your Java codes. You have to actually bind them, and you have to find them using their unique IDs. If it's a button, it has a unique ID. That's why when the class was starting, you saw that I copied and pasted, was it an edit text, and it actually brought problems because I copied and pasted something that has the same ID. So that is the problem in that. The ID has to be unique for every single thing, because that is what will be used to now bind your app. And our app has finished running, so it's launching on our device. So let's see how our app will look like, and whether our functionality will be working. Okay, so it's launching, and the install has been successful. So we should see our app together with our, what do we call it, our background and everything. Yeah, so you can see even our background is there, and our design. And as you can see, this was just the placeholder text. When I input my first number and my second number, you should see that this text will change to whatever the result is. So if I input the first number, you'll see that first the keyboard will only constitute of numbers, because the input type is of numbers. Exactly. So you see how it has actually changed. It started being a normal keyboard, but oops, it changed into just numbers, because I have specified that my input type is just numbers and numbers only. Okay, so I can have something like 53, 532, and then the second number will be what? Will be 532 plus, I want to make it 1,000, and to make it 1,000 I will say it will be 468. 468. Yeah, it should be 468. So that should give us 1,000. And now after doing that, so you can see that my first number here is 532, and my second number I have input it as 468. So if I click on add, the text down here should display 532 plus 468 is equals to 1,000. So let's click on add. Exactly. So, and the reason why there is a decimal is because we are using a float. There is a way you can remove that, but this just shows that our app is working perfectly. So 532 plus 468 is equals to 1,000. If I click on subtract, it should actually do the subtraction and do what, and give us the result. So if I click on subtract, it has done the calculation, but you can see that there's a bug here. This is because what I did, I just copied and pasted the code for all this, and then I just changed the symbol to do the arithmetic, but I didn't change the symbol that is being displayed here. So this plus here is whatever is being displayed here. So that was the bug. So I need to change these two. In this case is divide. So I can say divide. Then the top one is multiply. So multiply, I can write an x, okay, or x, multiply x, and then first number plus, this is now minus, and yeah, I think the first one is plus, and I think I can just update. That should take just a few time because I've already done my app. Awesome, now it's launching, and yeah, now that should update perfectly. And let us see, and then we try with other numbers. And also I can pull out my calculator from here to see whether our calculator is jabberizing things. So let us see. We can get rid of that and open our calculator. So it's launching, and come on, where is the machine calculator? Machine calculator. So we say something like 558 time 558. So let's do a number like 888 plus 66858. So you can see this, even my calculator here is not giving me results well. Like, it's not displaying as how we would display in our case. So in our case, we are displaying something like 532 6, then the next number is 890. Okay, so now if we click on add, it should perform that calculation, and we can actually confirm that and say 5326 plus 890. Is it 890? Yeah, it's 890. It should be 6216. 6216 exactly, and that's just it. If I now click on subtract, it should actually be the same thing, but now you can see that the symbol is changing to minus, and I can say 53 26 minus 890, and you can see it's 4436. And when I click on multiply, you can see it's actually giving us the multiplication, and when I click on divide, it's actually giving us the divide value. So let me actually test out the divide value. So it's 53 26 divided by 890. 890 is, you can see it's 5.9842696. So that is how you can create a simple calculator to do such a thing. And I hope you've seen, and I hope you've understood how simple it is. We can do something like that. Okay. So yeah, this recording will be available if you want to follow the tutorial to create your own calculator. So you can just create any app. Okay, it's not limited. As long as you just show you have the prowess of creating a simple app. This is not computer science where you're supposed to create an entire project in an entire year. So just create something simple. You've seen that I can create just something simple. You can try and see how you can create an app for pictures, wallpapers, one that uses the camera or something. There's so many ideas you can brainstorm. And I think your rep told me that I will be checking the apps maybe next week. Yeah, so just ensure that you've created, because you've always been told to ensure that you're working on something in your groups. So this is what we have created today. Maybe if there are any questions, I can welcome them. If not, we'll meet again to build in the afternoon. We'll meet again to build a simple app too, so that you can just get ideas of how you can just do something from start to finish, and it's just something simple, not a problem. So are there any questions?